nice evening. How are you?
Same.
Good. Let's hope we keep it going with BlackBerry. We're talking about BlackBerry, the new 2023 film that came out in theaters for a couple of weeks and then was gone. It wasn't around too long, and it is on VOD right now, but not streaming anywhere free, which goes against what we usually do. Usually we try to do.
I had to give up my once in a while Dunkin' Donuts beverage for this.
Yes, this cost us three. It was $6.99, but it was on sale for like $3. So
yeah,
real price, real bank breaker. But we usually do theaters, which costs you money anyway if you don't have a subscription. We always assume everyone has a subscription like me, but not everyone does. So, and then streaming. Netflix is restrictive currently, and we've done all the others. Like, well, you want us to talk about the Flamin' Hot Cheetos movie? I don't really want to talk about that. It's not interesting. I'd rather talk about a different product.
I never even knew of such thing.
Yeah, we've scrolled. I've keep pointing out Flamin' Hot, and then I start talking about it, and then you're like, oh no, I don't want to. That's usually what happens. But
is that like when Mario Lopez was the Colonel?
What do you mean? Is it like that?
when he was the Colonel.
I remember that, but why is this like that?
The Flamin' Hot?
No, Flamin' Hot like the Cheetos, not the chicken.
Yeah, well, it's still like just an advertisement.
Yeah. No, but Flamin' Hot's a movie, though. It's for the movie's called Flamin' Hot, and it's a biopic about the guy who made Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Except he didn't really do that. The movie's not based on a real thing, apparently. So the guy made it up.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're not talking about that product movie. We're talking about a different product movie, BlackBerry, which explores the incredible growth and tragic collapse of the world's first smartphone and how it smashed huge enterprises before starting into Silicon Valley's fiercely competitive companies. This has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 94 audience and a 7.4 IMDb. Them's some high scores. It's from director Matt Johnson. This is his third film. He did The Dirties, which is like a found footage movie about a weirdo kid who wants to make movies, and school shooting stuff's involved. It's very good, but it's hard to watch. And then he made another one called Operation Avalanche, which is about faking the moon landing that I have not seen. But those are like super low budget things. This is his first thing that he's made with like people in it, like Jay Baruchel is a TV actor, and Glenn Howerton, Always Sunny, everyone knows him. A couple other character actors you might recognize in here. So this is his first real film. And did you know anything going in other than the 5-minute spiel I gave you beforehand?
No. I remember you mentioning it before, and I didn't know if it was going to be like a theater release type movie, or if it was going to be something that we come across in our streaming scrolls, so I didn't know how big this was gonna be.
I didn't know how big of a release it was gonna get, and I guess like you got like medium names, so it got a big enough release. But critically, people really liked it, and then it has been getting a lot of VOD like money since then. Like this has been consistently on like the highest like streamed paid for movies, and I've been waiting for it to come out in the service so we could talk about it because I really wanted to see it because I like the creators and all the actors. I'm very interested in all this stuff, but we were waiting on it, and I was like, we're not gonna do Flamin' Hot. We're gonna pay $3 to do BlackBerry. So if you haven't seen BlackBerry, you unfortunately have to pay a few dollars to rent it right now. But that's what you gotta do.
Decision to do that will maybe rely on what we say.
Perhaps. But we're going to spoil it here now, so if you have any interest, that's what you want to do beforehand. Waterloo, 1996. That's where we're taking place. CEO Mike Lazaridis and his co-founder Doug Freen.
Waterloo, Canada.
What did I say?
Nothing. I'm just specifying.
Oh, Waterloo. Well, I think it's assumed that people know where Waterloo is in Canada.
But there's one in Europe.
I suppose. Well, there's probably a lot of Waterloos. I would have thought the first.
There's a Waterloo in Iowa.
Maybe I'm making a wrong assumption, thinking that everyone would assume when I say Waterloo, I say Canada. I thought people would just think that, but I'm also from a place.
You can't tell me that you think of the Canadian Waterloo or the battle.
If you said Waterloo and you said the city of Waterloo, I would think Canada. I wouldn't think the city of the Battle of Waterloo.
I would think of Iowa.
Doug Freen and Mike Lazaridis are about to meet Jim Balsillie, who is a businessman, and it's about their new device, the Pocket Link, which is like a new high-tech phone that's got texting all in one. You gotta remember, it was 1996, so phones are very prehistoric. No smartphones, no any phones that were anything other than cell and car and house. So these two guys, Doug and Mike, don't really have their act together. They're weird and they're childish, and Mike's got all these little idiosyncrasies and the little ticking sounds that irritate him, and Doug is just a man-child. And Jim Balsillie, the man that they're having a meeting with, is a no-nonsense, very strict. He's a very hard-edged gentleman. And doesn't go well at first, but Jim realizes that his company, he's hitting a wall, and Mike and Doug realize that their company, that they're getting screwed by their current deal, and so these three form an unlikely team and work to create this new phone that they've been working on and make it better. And so the first third is about that, and by the middle third, we time jump to when the company is successful, RAM, and it's got the BlackBerry phones, and they're selling well, and they run into some problems, and they do some shady things, and there's some character obstacles, and then the third act is when Apple comes in, and if you are a person, you know what happened there. So that is enough to talk about BlackBerry. Nicole, what'd you think of it?
Well, first, I think we should set the stage of what we knew before this about BlackBerry, and we kind of talked about this on our own, but what do you think of when you hear the term BlackBerry? And my immediate response is thinking of when I was a child and seeing someone with a BlackBerry and like thinking, wow, that is a business person right there. That person has business to take care of.
That is a business person.
They're typing an email out in public. Like, whoa, that's that is dedication. So I always had this preconceived thought that a BlackBerry was for people of high importance, and similar to like a doctor's pager, where if they get called or on call or whatever, and they have to, it's like in all the TV shows, mm-hmm. Like, oh beep beep, oh my god, someone's dying. I'm like, that's
I got my beep, my page.
But like, oh no, the stocks are crashing or something on your BlackBerry. So, I didn't quite grasp the impact that technology had on just the working world. And, I didn't know that was the first, like, smartphone. I thought I don't know, maybe I thought the Nokia was considered a smartphone. I just didn't know. So, obviously, looking back on that, I think I can decipher the difference. But, having that thought in my mind watching, it's really quite an interesting story, and seeing these, for lack of a better term, noobs working on this stuff, and they're so smart and nerdy, but they're so poor, and their execution of what they're doing is so bad and like misplaced.
Yeah, they're like tinkering in a shop. They're not like they don't seem like a professionally run organization.
It reminds me of a lot of other tropes about that, like all the nerds stay in one classroom and do their science experiments type of thing. Like
it's like the Stranger Thing kids, but 10 years later, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, or like I don't know, like I feel like in Accepted, there's a group like that or something, or 21 Jump Street, where he goes and meets all the dorky kids in there to learn how to do science. But yeah, so, I don't know if that's really quite how things went at that time. I mean, it was the
Those
90s.
kids become these guys. That makes sense.
Yeah,
and
that's
then they
true.
accidentally become millionaires.
Yeah, that's true. But it's an interesting story, for sure. I didn't know about these people. I looked them up afterwards, and there's some crazy stuff going on with these guys over the 2000s into the 10s. So, the story itself, you've got the typical Glenn Howerton character is an asshole, and he just plays it so well, and I can only imagine that he's probably that way in real life.
No, I don't think he's that way. This is extreme.
I haven't seen anything where he's not that to think differently.
If you watch the Always Sunny podcast where he's just himself, he seems like a perfectly reasonable gentleman.
I don't know. But yeah, the characters are very interesting, and it just shows that how quickly someone can get in over their head and have to go against their morals. And I like that type of story because they do preface this with saying it's fictional, but I mean the movie is fictional. How much are we getting off course here? You know what I mean? Like this could very well be how it went. Which is scary because these guys just go fucking insane. My one gripe about it is the director, as you mentioned, is also a character of Doug.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like that character at all.
Oh, you didn't like his the portrayal of Doug?
No, I didn't like that.
And you didn't know it was the director until I told you afterwards. So
no, I didn't.
It's not like you were like, oh, this is the director hamming it up. You were just like, who's this third guy?
Yeah, and I feel like he did a great job writing it, but he's just not a good actor. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what you think about it, because I don't think it was, like, spectacular. I don't think I would give it a 98%, but I did enjoy watching it, and there's a lot of nail-biting moments for what's going to happen with these fucking crazy people.
Yeah, I think 98's, like, it's one of those, like, who would give this a bad review kind of things. Like, who would give this, like, even if you, like, don't like this kind of movie, you'd give it 3 stars probably, right? It's very competently made and told. It's tense. I think
the story isn't even something that's 5-star worthy. It's not like Steve Jobs. It's something before that, but nobody knows about it.
It's like the Canadian knockoff Social Network. I think someone.
Yeah.
I think it's original. It's based on Losing the Signal: The Untold Story Behind the Extraordinary Rise and Spectacular Fall of BlackBerry. A very long title. Probably could have worked on that and.
Well, that's why they shortened it to just BlackBerry.
Yeah, exactly. But it was all, I think the original shopping of the screenplay way back was the Anti-Social Network or the Unsocial Network or something. So, like, basically, like, this is the reverse Facebook movie where it's about Mark Zuckerberg rising and he creates Facebook, where this is like the Canadian knockoff weirdo guys, and they rise, and then you see them fumble and fall, and you see it all because they have this guy that is not present in Apple stuff, which is, I mean, it also works towards
what the BlackBerry really stood for to me, which was, this is about doing your personal work, and it just so happens to have texting capabilities. Whereas when Steve Jobs came out with this iPhone, it was like, you're gonna talk to everyone in the world. And I don't think that BlackBerry necessarily was advertising it that way. So, being called the Unsocial Network, I kind of like that differentiation there.
I really like, it's like the story is pretty standard, and I would say, like, when we talked about Social Network, I think we did that review a couple years ago. And
yeah.
That's like an example of like, oh, like, it's just a movie about a company, like, how interesting could that really be? And that's I would consider that one of the great movies about like a company, or like a rise, or like a biopic of a tech kind of person. It's amazing. And this is like, it's not quite that good. This is definitely like a lighter version of that, but I really like the filmmaking in this. It's very it reminds me of The Office or Duplass Brothers stuff. It's very tight shot, close camera, gets right in people's faces, and
well, when you said that when you said that this guy made a found footage film, I automatically thought of the Duplass brothers doing that.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, he's a super indie-ish guy. I think Kevin Smith.
Are they Canadian too?
Who?
Mark Duplass.
I don't think the Duplasses are Canadian. They seem Canadian, but no. Matt,
they do. I
Matt
feel like
Johnson's
they're all
Canadian. Jay Baruchel's
family.
Canadian. Glenn Howerton not Canadian. He's Southern. But yeah, I liked all the acting here. I thought do you know Jay Baruchel from other things? The main guy, the gray-haired guy.
Yeah, I think I've seen him when you watched. I think I might have watched This Is the End before. I remember him being in there. He's one of those doofy guys.
Oh yeah, he's
friends
like
with all of them.
In that, he's like. So I just watched that full thing for the first time. I had never seen the whole thing, and he's like, yeah, and that Seth Rogen's like the main character, and he's like, oh, I'm the weird Canadian friend, and all the LA friends hate him, especially Jonah
That's
Hill.
what I remember him from.
Yeah, so that's what I know. I know him from that, but like he's in those kind of goofy. That group comedies. So that's what I knew from. So I'd never seen him do anything dramatic. And while this is a drama, I mean, we both laughed quite a bit in this. And this is like our style of humor too. I could see like, we always talk about when we go to theaters, no one laughs at the right stuff. No one gives the sense of humor is just so like not on. And I could see this movie being on in a theater with like the Barbie crowd and it just like the humor not working. And then people like us cracking up at like that, those different type of humor moments. It's the interaction of those three guys in different combinations that it's just so it's so good.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting characters in this, and as I mentioned, if you look into them further after you watch it, it really puts a perspective into just how fucking psychotic these people were to try to get this technology rolling, and you have to kind of have that craziness because you're just never going to be able to produce at such a quick capacity or have to kind of snake around each other this way. This is so proprietary. Like, you have to do it quickly and you have to do it sneakily, and when you have someone like Jim, Glenn's character, who's just total fucking snake, and he sucks so bad, and he's just a loser. He gets fired for being for fucking stepping over his boss. Who I like that boss, by the way. Seen him in other
Martin
stuff
Donovan,
too.
yeah,
I like him too. But when you have someone like that working for you, and you're just a nobody who lost their supposed deal that they thought they had this whole time, but no one could be bothered to call.
I know.
And ask if they were still the deal.
I love the conversations slowly like snowball. It just gets like wilder, and it's just like it just keeps getting like oh my god, it gets getting like more so. And I love that. I love that. They have a lot of those little writing bits, and you can tell the Matt Johnson character, the director in this, his guy is always doing movie quotes, and like he's acting like a little on the spectrum-y level of movie quoting. And I don't know if he does that in the other movie, the middle movie he's directed, but the first movie he directed, he's also a character in that, and he also is like that. And I'm just like, this guy's like a Quentin Tarantino kind of guy, where he's just like a total movie spaz, but like when he gets behind the camera, he makes like.
He just wants to be in it at one point.
I know. He just really he just loves it so much. He's just like he's just like it's just spazzing out all over the screen. You can tell. But
the thing that
okay, I'll say I had a bigger point there. Well, when they were getting fucked by the U.S. robotics, and they're like, oh, they're fucking pirates. They're not gonna get you. And you're like, oh, can't get into business with Glenn Howerton because he's a shark. And it's like, oh, what are pirates afraid of? Pirates are afraid of sharks. So there you go.
Oh wow!
I was like, he must have been very proud when he wrote that. I was like, that's very nice. He co-wrote it with Matthew Miller, another Canadian, I believe. So
yeah, I'm like just watching the way that our lead guy, I can't think of his name, Mike. Watching the way that Mike is so meek and timid in the beginning, and has to deal with this loser Jim. He's just fucking horrible. And you
think of Jim as a loser? You don't see his skills of yelling until he
No,
gets what he
because
wants?
all he does is manipulate weaklings, and
That's what his job. That's what
I know,
like,
and
that's like what
I
big
don't think I
business.
could ever thrive in this type of environment. But
They literally just find like weakling geniuses and bully them around until they make them all their money. Like that's. I mean, honestly, some people say that's what Steve Jobs did to Wozniak and his team.
Yeah.
So I mean,
well,
yeah.
we know, it's going to come full circle. It's leads up to that, and I appreciate that the guy found his voice. But I mean, getting tossed around the way he did in the beginning, like, bro, you got to get your shit together. This is bad.
I like Mike's character a lot because the performance is really good. Like he arcs a lot in the movie because by the end, when he gets past like the middle act, like the middle act is when they are in threat of getting bought by Palm Pilot, and that's when Carrie Elway's guys showed up, and he's I hate hockey, and I'm gonna fucking buy your company, Glenn Howerton, and Glenn Howerton didn't like that, so he has to pump the stock up and sell all the phones, and then they can't, but they're gonna blow their networks. So that's like the middle point where Mike learns to like compromise principles and push too far, and then when we come back around to the third act where he's full gray haired, full suit, like he's kind of fully transformed, and then now he's facing the consequences that Glenn Howerton's character put in, and then that's the same time when Apple comes in at the same exact time, so you just get they just get smashed.
Yeah, I mean, they had to move fast, though. They saw how quickly BlackBerry was progressing. Like,
this is
that's
the craziest thing about all this. This all happened in fucking 11 years. They went from nobody's in a shack to on top of the world to back to nothing in like.
And do we give
time.
Jim the credit for that?
What, Jim the credit for making them anything?
For making it so quickly? I mean, he went in there and busted deals and stepped on people's toes and did what he wasn't supposed to, and I mean, they became successful.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would argue, without Jim coming in and beating up on those guys, then what would have happened is Research in Motion, RIM, would have been probably screwed over by U.S. Robotics. Maybe U.S. Robotics would have came back in a couple years and bought them out for pennies on the dollar and bought up their remaining tech, and then maybe U.S. Robotics and Palm Pilot would have got the first smartphone, and then maybe Apple would have ate their lunch in 5 years or whatever. Who knows? Like in the end, it didn't really matter because BlackBerry was king for so short. You think of Microsoft and Apple and like those kind of companies, and they're old, like relatively old in like tech space. They're like 40 years old. So like BlackBerry came up and down 10 years. That's
crazy.
Wild. Apple, Apple, Microsoft, Google came up in the mid 90s, but they're still here and huge. So
So, did you read on... I didn't read on this. When they were starting to gain success and they're starting to bring in these guys from other companies because they need to grow and they need the brain power, and basically what the whole juice of this movie is, where they're now starting to do shady things, and Jim is doing some shisty work here. I didn't know about any of this, and that's basically where their demise started to come from. Because where did Jim start to gain all of this money? I know he doesn't have it to pay these people $10 million, right. But like, where am I missing? Like, where it's a possibility these people would believe him? Did he show them what the expected worth of BlackBerry would be, where they think, oh, okay, this guy can pay me $10 million? Or were they just going in like, I need to get out of my current job or whatever? I
mean, I'm thinking you're sitting there, you're like the director of engineering at like, where was it? Like Google. Like you're the up and comer. You're like the 20th most powerful tech person in this company, which is like the third most powerful. So you're like a top 100 tech person in the world. And so here comes BlackBerry, a relative unknown but up and comer, and they offer you a giant blank check to come work for you. Like, you sit there and like you're like, at least me on the other end of the table, I'm not thinking about how are they literally going to give me this money. I'm thinking about, this is my shot to go and be the big cheese over here.
How much am I going to make afterwards?
I know. I'm like, who can, like, how are they going to give me 10 million? That's their problem. That's not my problem. Like, it's not like, that's, and the way they presented in the movie, like, he said, like, he's, like, Rich Sommer is the first guy they go to, the guy with the glasses, and he's like, is this legal? And, he's like, don't worry about that. I'll take care of all that. So, like, I guess from, like, the standpoint of the people who were hired for all this absorbent money, and, like, did you think it was legit? I would be like, well, why not? Like, I guess, like, what's to say? Like, I don't know. There's not really a due diligence on their end to make sure that they shouldn't do that.
Was Google big at this point, where this guy would think it was a wise decision to leave there?
Well, if you remember, he didn't want to leave, but he just kept throwing giant sums of money at him until he left. That's why he left, is because he was
and the other guy with the glasses. Did they say where he came from? Remember they had that conversation? They was like, how much did he offer you? 10 million? Oh, me too.
Yeah, the other guy they showed. The second guy, so the first guy is the guy with the glasses, the first guy they hire. And the second guy is the Asian guy. And he's the one who works at, I think he works at Bell, which becomes Verizon later on. But that's where we meet Charles Purdy, the COO, the big old dude, the burly dude. So those two guys both those two guys got poached the same way with the backdated contract.
Purdy did too.
Did Purdy too, the COO?
No, I thought you just said that. No, both of them.
But he came in at the same time, saying like he got glasses, then he got the Asian guy, and then at the same time, like he got him. He was like, "Oh, who's that guy? I want him too," because this is at the same time he's trying to make sure he doesn't get hostile takeovered, basically. The whole reason, like they would have been, what also would have happened is Jim bought them out and like helped them get to where they were in the middle of the film. But also at the midpoint of the movie, if Jim had not done the illegal things, what probably would have happened is they would have just got bought out by the other guy, by Carrie Elways, and then RIM would have become part of Palm Pilot, and it would have been some giant, Palm Pilot BlackBerry merger, which also eventually would have probably gotten beat by Apple. So again, not a lot.
I always thought that they were the same thing, honestly.
Well, that's because before iPhones, like old, it was just like old phone that business people use with keyboard, and you use a stylus. Like it's like business phone, right? Like business touch thing. So I don't know. Like they were almost the same thing.
When he was trying to stay afloat after Apple released their touchscreen.
Yeah, when Mike's like in denial.
Yeah, I swear, I don't know why I thought that BlackBerry was owner of the Sidekick. I thought it was going the Sidekick route.
Oh.
Remember the Sidekick?
Was that Motorola? I thought that was Motorola.
No, I think it was T-Mobile was the
they're the carrier. Yeah.
So I don't know who worked with T-Mobile, but yeah, I mean, it's so crazy to me that something so small, like the little ball is something that could like make or break them.
I like that. This is like an alternate universe where like things went so slightly differently. Like 2007. For so many things. Like, I think of the Queen of Versailles documentary, too. Like, that giant palace they were making.
Was that in 2007?
Same, yeah, or 2006, 2007. Same kind of thing, right before the financial crisis. And in this, our Queen of Versailles is Jim Balsillie trying to move the Pittsburgh Penguins to Hamilton just so he can have his private skybox and watch them.
Yeah.
I was just like, if BlackBerry just held on for 2 more years, like that probably would have, like, I mean, he got rejected, but like, I'm sure he would have fucking weaseled his way somewhere. Like, I love that he's just like, he basically willed his way into, so this guy, you meet him and he's at this company and he's a couple shots away on the totem pole from getting his shot. And he meets the dweebs and he's like, oh, I have a shot to make my thing. Like, he doesn't care at all about the company he was working for before, the manufacturing company, the phones. All he wants to do is figure out how can I make billions of dollars so I can buy a hockey team and they're my private hockey team that I watch in my stadium from the sky and everyone, and I lord over the whole, like, that's like literally, he cares about nothing except for acquiring so much money that he can buy a hockey team. It's a wild supervillain type of move, and it's kind of cool that he got that close.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Didn't he... I mean, I was just reading this Wikipedia the other night. I can't remember. Doesn't he still own something? I think he owns a sports team still.
He probably bought a mine. I mean, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Jim Balsillie.
I mean, he was like so crazy, and just the fact that once we get into the him being arrested for the illegal stock sharing or whatever, it's so mind-blowing to me that nothing came of that. Like, I cannot fucking believe that. I'm so shocked that he didn't get any jail time, he didn't get any repercussions from it, and now he's just living life exactly what he wanted to do.
Oh, he didn't get to own the hockey team.
Oh, he didn't own anything?
No, I'm looking through here. He made the bid to move the Pittsburgh Penguins, then a bid at the Predators, a bid at the Coyotes.
But that was just such a great showing of his personality. Like, he went in there so happy and personable, and when it didn't go his way, he just blew the fuck up, which was the exact reason why they didn't want to sell it to him in the first place, because they heard about how much of an asshole he is.
Because that's the thing, is like, in order to be this successful, in order to be like that level of a salesperson, you do need to be charismatic in the room. People do need to like you and want to do business with you and buy from you. But
I mean, he was starting to he flopped when he went into that first board meeting.
Right.
When Mike lost the prototype, he fucking flopped. He had no idea what he was doing. All he can do is scream at people and boss his secretary around until he makes it. Like, I feel like that's like the quintessential CEO move. Not know anything about the fucking company.
He's the tip of the spear. Like, he doesn't actually like. And he's a salesperson. He's a good, like, that is like literally what, like,
he's a face.
Yeah, like, he doesn't actually have any expertise. He did, like, when Doug's like, oh, I bet you don't even know what a blah blah whatever blah blah is, and then he literally takes Mike aside. What the hell is he talking about? Like, he doesn't know, but like, he knows. What he knows is, if I'm a big scary man and I come in a room and there's little scary people, I can boss them around until they do what I want. That's his skill. That's as much as his skill as much as Mike's skill is tinkering with things and fixing their little gadgets. Like, it's just a different, like, and it's somewhat monstrous to watch, but like, you also have to think, like, he's got to be, somewhat personable, charismatic person in person, one-on-one, when he's putting his little mask on, and then when you see what he really wants, that's not surprising. I know we're kind of wrapping up here, but I did want to say I love, and it's because, I'm sure it's because filmmaker nerd guy made this. The beginning and ending scenes, they're poetry, they rhyme. It's the Mike and Doug in the beginning of the office, and he's tinkering with that little that calm button in Balsillie's office, and it's made in China, and it's making a humming sound, and it's so annoying, and I just need to fix this real quick. And then we wrap it all the way back around to the end, where he's compromised his values, and he can't get everything made in time, so he has everything made in China, like he said he would never do, and he gets all the boxes in the warehouse, and they're all defective, and he's standing there tinkering with each one back. Like, I'm sure that's an exaggeration, an artistic embellishment, but visually, storytelling wise, it's excellent. It's so good. Him with his buddy in the grubby little office at the beginning, and then 10 years later, he's in his suit with his hair slicked back in the giant warehouse full of useless things of his compromised vision, a giant warehouse full of things he said he'd never do, and he's just it's so good. It's such a good storytelling, and that's why I'm saying, like, if this were just some other biopic movie, we wouldn't be talking. If it were Flamin' Hot, Tetris, some other thing, we would be leaving it alone, and not paying money for it extra. But I knew there would be little nuggets like that I extra appreciate in here, and that those are the kind of things I look for.
Yeah, I thought that was a great full circle moment too. It just blows me away. I don't know how hyperbolic it was, but the amount of inventory that they had placed, and what was it now, like 2011 or so, I think it was, maybe I'm a little bit older than what the time was, but the fact that they had to have been almost 1 million pieces of inventory, like, there's no way that they expected to do that sort of business. They were already flailing as it was. What the fuck did they have all that stuff for?
He thought, I just think they thought that they could beat. They thought they didn't expect the Apple to beat them, and it all happened at the same time too. Like, Apple dropped the iPhone the same time that they started getting it looked into by the SEC, at the same time as the market crash of 2007, 2008, 2009. So they're getting triple, like, they're being a bad business that's getting bad luck from the grander market, as well as getting direct like world-changing competition from, like, a direct competitor. Like, they just got tsunamied. They had no shot, and, like, it's like they could have if they had prepared better, but they didn't know, and they didn't see it coming, and they were too high on their hubris, too busy buying hockey teams and thinking my clicking BlackBerry device will always beat a screen, and that was their downfall.
I want to talk about one more thing, and I feel like during our review here we didn't quite talk about the movie as much, but it kind of speaks for itself. I mean, it's like a semi-true story about this company, which, by the way, we haven't talked about if this is actually true or not, how they got their name.
How they got their name, yeah.
The little BlackBerry stain on his shirt during the pitch, which I thought was very interesting, because I always wondered myself where that came from. If it's that simple, I mean, that's incredible. But the person I want to talk about is actually Doug, right? His name's Doug.
The third guy, yeah.
And what they said at the end in the credits, where Doug decided to sell all of his stock before the crash of this company.
Yeah.
And it's so... If you didn't look this up, you have to look this up. I mean, this guy is one of the smartest people I've ever heard of. Like, he sold these X thousand numbers of stock or whatever, and this guy is living the life. I don't know what he's doing now, but in the teens, 2010s, he's like living up, because he made the best move ever.
Yeah, Doug, the guy who, and again, there's really two main characters, and Doug's kind of the third guy. And, you know, Mike's our protagonist, and he's like a flawed hero. Like, he has, you cheer for him, but he's got problems. And then Jim's, you like watching him because he's interesting, but he's a monster. And Doug's kind of like a loser idiot, but he is like an idiot savant. Like, his team rallies behind him. Like, he clearly has like some sort of ability. And it's nice to find out at the end of the movie, like, it's all very poetic. Like, Mike gets bit, basically. The slimy, smarmy businessman gets away scot-free and keeps chasing his NHL team. And the guy who just wanted to hang out with his friends and make toys is the secret billionaire that made it out on top.
So crazy. I mean, this guy's just the best part of all of this in the end of it.
I enjoyed the movie, learning about it, everything about BlackBerry, my experience with it. And so I guess I'll ask you, Nicole, would you recommend BlackBerry?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a very interesting story, and something that I didn't know about as a younger person. This was, how old would I have been at this time? 14, 15 years old, and I just had my own first Sony Ericsson phone. And I used it when I was at middle school to call my mom. Like, I must have been a little bit younger, but, I didn't have a grasp on what this phone did for the world. And as much hyperbole as they want to put on this story, I still think it's very interesting, and I don't think that they're really taking much liberty on how these people acted. I think they're probably all like this. So to see people like this, I mean,
it feels realistic to like.
It's
like over the top,
eye-opening.
But realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I hugely recommend BlackBerry. I had high expectations, and I was not disappointed. Thankfully, I hope it gets. It's a small movie, but I hope it gets some sort of award buzz or traction or something. Even if it's just the token screenplay nomination or something. Like it's very 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 well told. If it had, I just picture if it had bigger names in a studio behind it, it would be like Social Network level popular. And because it's
But
it's
I didn't like Social Network. I felt like it was too much.
Oh, you didn't like? You don't like Social Network? You like this more than Social Network?
I don't remember what I said when we watched Social Network, but
yeah, don't roll the tape. In this moment, you don't remember liking Social Network.
I never stick to any fucking opinion that I have. Like,
true.
if you don't realize that by now,
you sometimes switch them mid-review. Sometimes you'll say with conviction at the beginning and the end opposite things.
I just like to talk, and whatever comes out of it at that moment is how I'm feeling. But I actually like that they're still actors. Like I fully understand that, but they're lesser known. I would say they don't have as much of a presence. Like you get Jesse Eisenberg. And he is, so, who he is.
Yeah, like there's no, they're like, oh yeah, that's just, like, there's no mistake.
Yep, and, it's Justin Timberlake.
Right,
like,
yeah.
That's, I feel
Andrew
like that's,
Garfield's
like,
your smaller star.
having a name. Yeah, having a name in your movie. And these guys are like, okay, the director wants to play a role, and he's not going to be the big guy. He's going to be the doofy kind of guy.
Right.
And then we have someone very relatable to modern pop culture with Glenn Howerton. And the other guy who's in... Basically, if you look at his filmography, he is just a voice actor. Like
Jay Baruchel is a very prolific voice. He's How to Train Your Dragon movies. He's Flynn, the main guy. Yeah. I think that's
he doesn't show face that much, and when he does, he's like the friend nobody likes. Like,
he reminds me of a young Christian Slater. His voice and like affectation. He doesn't look like him really, but there's something about him that's Christian Slatery, which is, I guess, in a way saying he's Jack Nicholson-y, because that's kind of what Christian Slater is. But
well, yeah, he's very refined. I feel like he leans into the role very well, and I don't think he really expects praise like Glenn Howerton does.
But yeah, like,
so
I know we know who Glenn Howerton is because Always Sunny is like one of the biggest TV shows ever. But even before that, like, we're in Philadelphia, so we know Glenn Howerton. But like, can you name a single other project he's done other than Always Sunny? Like, he does stuff.
Yeah, he's in that. He's in a show. He's in.
Oh, that's right. He's in AP Bio. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so he does TV, but and I guess they both do. I guess him and Jay are both primarily TV actors. So.
But anyway, I like this better than Social Network because it just it has a realness to it. And I've only seen Social Network one time, and it was for this a review that we've done. So I don't have that cult following like a lot of people do about it.
I'm putting on the poster for this, Nicole, better than Social Network.
And Jesse Eisenberg is kind of a loser, so... I'll say it.
2 recommends for the BlackBerry movie, worth the $3, I would say. These are the ones where, like, I'm starting to come around on my whole philosophy of, we own so many streaming services. Like, when we're doing it for the show, we want to do either new stuff or like something pop culturally significant. And sometimes it's more valuable to do something that's streaming a couple bucks than it is to talk about.
Whoa.
Sometimes
we're changing our stance, huh?
There was a Beanie Baby movie on Apple TV Plus. I guess we could have done that, but like, I don't know.
Wait, that Beanie Baby movie was awesome.
You watched it? No, not the documentary. There's a movie with.
Oh no, I didn't watch that.
No, I didn't watch what did you watch? That you don't watch a movie. You watched a movie without me?
No, we watched the documentary.
No, not the documentary. Not that. No, this has what's her name? Elizabeth Banks and Sarah Snook from Succession. Yeah, maybe we should.
No, thank you.
Yeah, see, I can't vouch for that. I wanted to also do something like we're on a short timeline. It's just the two of us. We've got some vacations coming up, so we're not going to be recording for a few weeks. So we needed to just fill something in, and I wanted to pick something you'd like, and I didn't think you'd like anything else. So it looks like I was correct. So 2 recommends for BlackBerry, and coming up, August is not the best theater month currently. So hopefully things come back around in the fall, but we'll still be doing streaming movies, probably catching up on stuff like this, and this is the time for recommendations. It's almost 2nd January. If you have things to recommend to us, Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook, reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost, and you can email the show filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Thanks for being on for BlackBerry, Nicole.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Till next time, this is Brennan signing off, saying thanks for listening. Enjoy your
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening, and enjoy your movies.